Data Center 4.0, the future of the digital ecosystem. In this podcast series from DigitalCentre, data center leader, expert and APAC-based marketeer Omer Wilson will be in conversation with technology and industry experts on the future of the data center and the wider ecosystem. Today's tech-fueled transformation era is putting traditional data centers under unprecedented pressure. This pressure is coming from businesses, users, and consumers from every physical, virtual, and cloud-centric angle. What does the future hold for the data center? Hello and welcome everyone to our next installment of the DigitalCentre Podcast. Really excited today to welcome a really key member of the steering committee and a company which is really pioneering in high performance computing and supercomputing as a service sector from Japan. We're really lucky to have the CEO and founder of Extreme D with us today. We're going to discuss his company, but also really where high performance computing, AI, and supercomputing is growing within Asia Pacific, but also across the globe. So with that, I'd like just to say a quick konnichiwa, hello to Shibata-san.
Hello, konnichiwa, Omura-san. I'm happy to talking with this podcast today.
Thank you very much for joining us, Shibata-san. Always a pleasure to have you with us. So let's get straight into it. I know you're joining us from beautiful Tokyo today, so we really appreciate your time. Just to start, Shibata-san, could you please introduce yourself and also your company and explain to our listeners what does Extreme D do?
Okay, so my name is Naoki Shibata, founder, CEO, and HPC architect for Extreme D Inc. So I have over 18 years of experience for high-performance computing as an architect. And Extreme D, our company, was established 5 years ago. So headquartered in Tokyo to develop the new era of supercomputer as a service products. Our team has a leadership in over 20 years of experience with HPC and cloud technologies. And we are developing some new services named Extreme Stargate, the virtual supercomputing on-demand service to make the HPC resources available to everyone, delivering to easy-to-use customer experience through the robust user interface and cloud management features. Extreme Stargate in high-performance computing capabilities supporting private cloud and public cloud, featuring the latest CPU and GPU and the interconnect option mainly for B2B customers and laboratories customers and more.
Wow. Incredible. And just to dig a little bit deeper, what are some of your what are some of the partners, customers, and you touched on it a little bit there. What are some of the key sectors which you operate in?
Yeah, so mainly we are focusing the computing simulation use, for example, for manufacturing industry for maybe car crash simulation in the computer fluid dynamics code, and so bio life science, finding for new medicine or something, and some material science is a very huge computing simulation, and also AI, deep learning, data analytics, and learning for all industries, mainly for manufacturing industries and fintech customers and the bio life science and more.
Wow, incredible! And you established the company in 2015. And so you've seen a lot of growth clearly over the last sort of 4 to 5 years. Can you explain just to finish on the company geographically? I know you're headquartered in Tokyo. Which other markets is Extreme D currently active in the world?
Yes, of course, the main Japan HPC market very huge. So also our US team is driving some opportunity in the United States, and also are some are R&D subsidiary and some fintech customers located in Singapore. So we are focusing the three regions right now: Japan, United States, and Singapore right now.
Wow, got it. A lot of growth, a lot of growth. So thanks for the overview. I think that'll be helpful. And again, to the listeners, as with all of these podcasts, you can find, we'll share more information alongside the recording, and on DigitalCentre.technology, you can find a lot of information and content from Shibata-san and team on the steering committee page for Extreme D. Shibata-san, I'd like to now move to discuss the global drive for high performance computing, and also the convergence with artificial intelligence. AI is so topical, and clearly HPC is going to be such a key part of how organizations, research institutions, people, consumers in general, consume AI. Is going to be driven by a lot of high performance computing requirements at the foundational level. So the question for you, given your expertise in this area and clearly being such a pioneer, would you say the convergence of high performance computing and AI is a natural fit?
Yes, data analytics engineers can collect a huge number of data at the moment for using for the maybe from this year. The many other customers and users can use it for the 5G environment and more. The data is over capacity and the PC level of storage and the memory size. For example, data analytics for autopilot in the automotive, and marketing automation for the fintech industry. So some of our customers have already shifted from the small and low power computing to high performance computing environment. There was a big computing environment. There is a high performance for AI data analytics. This is parallel data analytics. It fits in the workload and supercomputers. So meaning is data is increasing very huge. So I think maybe AI is very fit for a very good solution for the high performance computing.
Excellent, really interesting, especially the comment you made around the fintech industries is something I think we're seeing globally. Makes a lot of sense. So really tied to that response and focusing on the data, because obviously it's the data is so key. If we start to think about the data harmony, high performance computing systems are generating more and more data, and clearly AI and machine learning is helping to process this. There's a big data tsunami coming with Internet of Things, and a lot more data coming from multiple devices. I know, being in Tokyo recently, Japan has got, it seems, more connected devices per person than anybody, and I think that's going to grow more and more. Do you think the partnership of AI and HPC, high performance computing, is going to help enterprises tackle this tsunami of data?
Yeah. So I think our main point is our manipulation and management of data is very important. So many other customers can collect the big data from the IoT devices to the data center. It's very easy. However, I think they need the black tool solution to transport the big data from the customer's on-premise environment to data centers. So I think maybe many of the issue for moving the data time from the customer's data center to data centers, or the high speed and high securities, in collaboration with data center providers and service providers like this. And for HPC, needing high density rack mounting and high electric and very important for the use capability for the data centers. But many other customers who are manipulating the big data. It's many number of servers needed, many or some electric power is needed, and high security data centers very needed. So I think maybe some very important thing is management and concentrate to the data and servers and the data center is very important right now for HPC customers.
Excellent. Yeah, I know, and we can touch on it a little bit later, but clearly the activities we had in Tokyo recently together and the launch in Osaka data center campus between MC Digital Realty and yourselves really ties to your comment around the high density rack mounting and secure data center platform. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And to go specifically into that area of data centers, what effect is the demand for all of these really power hungry technologies having on data centers from your perspective?
Yes, with that, some user environment will be concentrated to secure and high performance data centers. So I think maybe the customers is needed to manage the power and the secure connecting to the data centers, and more the management, easy to the management by using feature of the data centers, and also as a full backup solution for the data for the AI. So the customer is considering to using the public data center for disaster recovery solution, and then we continue to the business for the new future. So I think many others requirement is needed to our data centers, also including power hungry technology. I think the power is HPC environment is needed the high density server to a platform with power rack. So I think you needed to the more power distribution, and for power rack is very important. For example, power rack 12 kVA, power rack 16 kVA and more. If for the customer using for the GPU environment, so it's more power for the needed power rack. I think we need to for very new data center for supporting to support huge megawatt for power rack is very important.
Excellent. Really interesting. I think people sometimes don't realize the impact on the physical infrastructure to drive these technologies. So I think having you comment on that helps us so much. Thank you, Shibata-san. I want to now switch a little bit to the demand for high performance computing, and specifically in the growth in Asia Pacific. The global HPC market is generating about $34 billion back in 2017, and I think it's estimated to hit around $50 billion by 2023. So the growth is at about an 8% annual growth rate, which is really significant and ties obviously to a lot of other industry and trends like artificial intelligence, which we spoke about. But from your perspective, this significant growth, what is driving that in your view?
Yes, I think it's the expansion from the application area for HPC workload. So as I mentioned, the traditional HPC is only for focusing the computation simulation application code. So since several years ago, yes, our AI deep learning solution is main workload for the HPC. So I think and more the simulation and disaster recovery is very important. So maybe needed to real time simulation or faster than the real time. So AI simulation and some more simulation for all the weather application for the disaster recovery is very important for the driving its growth for the HPC market as a new workload for next 2 or 3 years.
Very interesting. And from your experience in growing your platform and products from Japan to Asia, how does Asia Pacific compare to the global trends?
So, I think the HPC market is mainly for the Americas, EMEA, and Japan, and so China also. So, I think maybe subsidiary for the national laboratories in the United States is located in the Singapore. Also, Singapore has many other good fintech customers already. So, I think maybe also we were also focusing to the primary is APAC, is Singapore, Japan, and also the Korea is very good location for several are some city as very good solution, having a very good solution HPC to market. Many others and workload is running right now. I think we were focusing to the APAC in the very good compare area for the globally, mainly for the compared to Americans, I think.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, I think that the supercomputing market is quite unique in that perspective. I think in some of the specifically the research institutions, as you said, with the United States, holding a lot of the large ones, as you mentioned. So moving now towards some of our final questions, and you touched on it a little bit before around the the significant growth in data, and the data tsunami that we're seeing, and then see how HPC is processing and building on this data. What, from your perspective as a company which day in day out works with huge amounts of data, how can data centers best support this demand?
Yes, as I mentioned today, I think that some data center needs the high electric power and secure location is for the low CO2 for the commercial use. Commercial the customers is very considering to some reduction of the CO2. And so we want to do the same facility in the service level for the whole country, and the location is very important. And some needed more standard API and middleware framework for and handless using the headrest management in the data center facilities, such as digital reality is launched to as a platform digital. I think maybe we are fixing to the all IT equipment and the data center component to be fully controlled by software. I think very good or some solution for the like a platform digital is I think maybe we hope to develop to some same software in the middle stack with all data center providers.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, great response, Shibata-san. So just the final question from my side, twofold really. One, the listeners will see quite a bit of material on the site around your product set, but especially keen to hear, especially you mentioned the data center angle, if you can talk a little bit more about Stargate as a product, and what does it do? Why did you launch it at this time? And then the second question is really for the future. What's next for Extreme D? What are you planning?
Yes, from the April 1st, Extreme Stargate, new generation supercomputer management infrastructure service is managed by our system software. Will launch it to our Japan location, to the using for collaborative working with digital reality. Also, we added more CPU workload and infrastructure as a service is expanding to the United States maybe by this year. So I think our XMD team is developing the new infrastructure service and system software architecture design for the using for the other new CPU, new GPU for focusing the AI deep learning workload for the near future. Please waiting for our next update. For if interested in our products, please visit to our website in xm-d.net. We are announcing more technical detail and some explaining to our products in detail by Japanese and English is available right now.
Excellent. No, I'm sure the listeners will be very keen to learn more. It's an incredibly exciting area. We hear about AI more and more, but your solution is really enabling HPC as a service to enable companies to really benefit from artificial intelligence efficiencies. So, Shibata-san, that just leaves me to say thank you very much indeed for your time. Always a pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Omar-san. And I think I'm very happy to or some broadcasting there about HPC is very important. Thank you.
Absolutely, no, and I think you're definitely pioneering in that space. So we should do this again, and we'll certainly schedule in another follow-up for the future to update the listeners. So thank you again, and thank you everyone for listening. Please do subscribe and follow DigitalCentre.technology, and make sure you keep an eye out for the next podcast that we will publish very soon. Thank you for listening.